Hey gang, welcome back to another video. Now, anyone who's ever tried to paint a foam tombstone with spray paint knows that it's a terrible idea. But what if we were to lean into that idea and instead use spray paint to carve a tombstone? Well, in this video, I'm going to find out exactly what happens. So let's get to it. After quickly typing up an epitaph and printing it out, I grabbed a sharp razor blade and a piece of scrap MDF to use as a cutting mat and got down to cutting out my stencil. Typically, I'd use a vinyl cutter for something like this, but just to make this as simple as possible, I figured I'd do it by hand. It's really important when cutting stencils to have a fresh blade. Anytime you have to force the blade is an opportunity to cut yourself. Trust me, I know this one from experience. Now that my stencil is cut, it's time to bust out the repositionable spray adhesive. I'll apply a few light coats and then give it the suggested 3 to 5 minutes before applying it to my foam board. I grabbed a few pieces of scrap cardboard and some painter's tape to mask off the rest of the foam, and then it was time to grab some spray paint. You're looking for a medium-heavy coat of paint, since the solvents are what cause the foam to melt, so there needs to be enough to start that reaction, but not too much that it creeps underneath the stencil and causes the lettering to lose their definition. I found that using a hairdryer on the warm setting helps this reaction along, although once the paint is dried, you won't get as much melting action. So I highly suggest testing it out to get a feel for it before starting on your own project. When it looks like the reaction has subsided, you can peel away your stencil and get a good look at your lettering. As you can see, the lettering is melted about 1/8 to 1/4 inch, and it's fair to say that it's inconsistent. But if you're shooting for an old, worn tombstone, this approach is a lot less time-consuming than using a rotary tool or carving by hand. It was at this point that I was curious to see if I could use it for more decorative elements. So I drew out some lines on the outer shape of the tombstone and then created a scalloped edge with the help of my roll of painter's tape. With all my lines drawn, it was time to mask it off, and then I can get to spray painting, repeating the process I used for the lettering until I've reached the desired look. A bit more paint and heat is necessary, and I can remove the masking to see how I did. Now I'd say this worked relatively well. Much like the lettering, and while it's not the most perfect looking tombstone, if it's for filler in your cemetery scene, this technique might just be the fastest way to get the job done. Now, while this tombstone is not going to win any awards, if you're looking for some filler and you're short on time, I think this is a pretty reasonable approach. Well, that's going to do it for this one. Be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already, but most importantly, go make something.